Very good morning, and you're watching the breakfast news on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. And in the next 30 minutes, I'll take you through most significant news from India and across the world, stories that you might have missed during the night, and also be telling you what to expect in the day ahead. Let us start with the headlines. Flood situation grim in Bihar, Assam and Uttar Pradesh. Their death toll reaches 150 in Bihar. Red Cross says 11 million people affected across the country. India to continue to engage with China to find a mutually acceptable solution to Doklam standoff. Japan backs India's stand, says there should be no attempt to change the status quo. No headway in the much talked about merger of the two AIA-DMK factions. Ticklish issues pose hurdles despite marathon deliberations well into Friday night. Vishal Sikka resigns as the Chief Executive Officer of Infosys. This follows months of acrimony with high-profile founders led by N.R. Narayana Murthy. And a key suspect in Barcelona attack reported to have been killed in a shootout. 4 other suspects arrested. Spain observing 3 days national mourning. A top story is the India-China standoff, and India has said that it will continue to engage with China to find a mutually acceptable solution to the Doklam standoff. The Ministry of External Affairs has said that peace and tranquility on the border is an important prerequisite for smooth bilateral relationship. To a query on the recent incident between Chinese troops and Indian border guards in Ladakh, the MEA spokesperson said that such incidents are not in the interest of either side. The MEA has said that 2 border personnel meetings had taken place between Indian border guards and the Chinese troops recently. One BPM had taken place at Chushul on Wednesday and another one at Nathula a week before.
We will continue to engage with Chinese side to find a mutually acceptable solution. As we have said in the past, peace and tranquility in border areas is an important prerequisite for a smooth development of bilateral relations.
And in related news, Japan on Friday unequivocally backed India on its position on the Doklam border standoff with China. Now, Japan has said that there should be no attempt to change the status quo on the ground by force. The backing by Japan is significant as it is a first by a major country.
In a significant act of support for India in its prolonged military standoff with China, Japan has become the first country to openly throw its weight behind New Delhi. In a statement issued on Friday, the Japanese embassy said there should be no attempt to change the status quo on the ground by force. Japanese ambassador to India, Kenji Hiramatsu, said, and I quote, "We recognize Doklam is a disputed area between Bhutan and China, and the 2 countries are engaged in border talks. We also understand that India has a treaty understanding with Bhutan. That's why the Indian troops got involved in the area. We are watching the situation very closely at Doklam as it has the ability to affect the stability of the entire region. We also believe there should be no attempt by any party to unilaterally change status quo by force, as maintaining it is very important." Unquote.
China is committed under agreements of 1988 and 1998 to respect the status quo as of March 1959. As Bhutan has pointed out, China, through construction of this road, tried to alter the status quo. There are also similar understandings between India and China on not taking recourse to force or threat of use of force to change the status quo. Once again, China is in violation of these understandings. There is very clear consensus in the past between India and China, between China and Bhutan, that all differences should be resolved peacefully. And this is the position India has taken, and China should follow that good advice given by India and Bhutan.
I think it suggests the correlation of forces that are emerging in Asia against China. Because I think so far the equation was there's just India versus China, with Japan now siding very frontally, centrally with India, it complicates, I think, China's politico-military calculus. And also, I think this is a follow-on to the 2x2 ministerial forum that's been set up with the United States. Because the United States has a 2x2 forum with Japan. So this is an interesting triangulation, as it were. And it's something that Beijing would have to necessarily consider in terms of deciding what it wants to do.
The endorsement of the Indian position by Japan is a significant development at a regional level, as China has violated agreements with Japan as well. Japan too is engaged with the sovereignty issue with China over the East China Sea. However, China has asked Japan not to make random comments on the border standoff, even if it wants to support New Delhi. Earlier this week, the United States called on India and China to hold a direct dialogue and resolve the issue. The prolonged standoff started in June when India sent troops to stop China building a road in the Doklam area, saying it changes the status quo at the tri-junction of the borders of India, China and Bhutan. India has also offered that both sides withdraw troops to engage in dialogue, but China has refused that option, asking India repeatedly to withdraw from the area. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, China is deliberately not stating the amount of water it is releasing into Indian rivers. Now, this is in direct violation of the agreement between India and China on the sharing of hydrological data. Now, shockingly, at a time when Indian states are reeling under heavy floods, these are the details coming in.
Even as China accuses India of adventurism when it comes to Doklam, Beijing itself hasn't been exactly playing by the rules. Under an agreement it signed with India in 2006, China is obliged to share hydrological data with India on the Satluj and Brahmaputra. According to two MOUs signed in 2013 and 2015, every year China needs to give hydrological data between 15th May to 15th October. But China hasn't shared any data so far this year.
जो hydrological data है on Satluj and Brahmaputra river, that is to be shared by China with us, अवधि के बीच में देना होता है. वो जो है, जो इंटरवल होता है, वो लगातार देना होता है. इसकी फ्रीक्वेंसी भी है, डेली एक दिन में काफ़ी बार देना होता है.
The floods in Assam are directly related to the water flow from China to India. China releases water from various dams to Indian rivers without hindrance. But it needs to tell India how much it's releasing. The data should be shared on a daily basis, often many times a day. But the Chinese action is willful contravention of the agreement.
May, June, July, August, fourth month is on, and it is not a simple thing that China has not shared any hydrological data with us. It is nothing but putting Indian people in danger without declaring confrontation or war. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Prasanto in Delhi.
And news related to Jammu and Kashmir, India has welcomed the US's decision to designate a Kashmiri terrorist outfit, Hizbul Mujahideen, as a foreign terrorist organization. The Foreign Ministry said that the move reflected the joint commitment of the two countries to firmly deal with the terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. The designation, which slaps a series of US sanctions on the outfit, came against the backdrop of an upsurge in the terror activities of the militant group in Kashmir in recent months. The US decision marks a severe blow to Pakistan, which has been projecting the militant group as a voice of Kashmiri people.
We welcome the designation of Hizbul Mujahideen that has been responsible for carrying out heinous acts of terrorism and taking innocent lives in the state of Jammu and Kashmir as a foreign terrorist organization by the US. And as you mentioned that earlier on 26th June 2017, when Prime Minister Modi was in the US, they had designated Sayyid Salahuddin also as a self-styled, who is a self-styled commander of Hizbul Mujahideen, as a specially designated foreign terrorist. We feel that these designations, they reflect the joint commitment of India and US to firmly deal with terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. And just to add, I think it is an obligation for everyone to end moral, diplomatic and material support to such internationally designated terrorist entities and individuals, no cause or reason can justify continued provision of support, shelter and sanctuary to such entities and individuals.
In related news, Home Minister Rajnath Singh has asserted that by 2022, a solution would be found to the Kashmir problem. Now, speaking at the program on New India movement in Lucknow, he said that the other problems like terrorism, Naxalism and Northeast insurgency will also be resolved by then. Singh also administered the oath to the gathering at the event on making India free of filth, poverty, corruption, terror, communalism and casteism.
आतंकवाद, नक्सलवाद, कश्मीर की समस्या, नॉर्थ ईस्ट की उग्रवाद की समस्या, बहुत सारी समस्याएं हैं। इन सब सारी समस्याओं के बारे में भी ज्यादा आपको बताने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन इतना ही आपको यकीन दिलाना चाहता हूं कि 2022 तक उन्होंने नए भारत के संकल्प का फैसला लिया है। बहनों भाइयों, तो इन सब सारी समस्याओं का समाधान 2022 के पहले होकर रहेगा, ये हम देशवासियों को विश्वास दिलाना चाहिए।
On to some other news now. Russian President Vladimir Putin has appointed a career diplomat Nikolai Kudashov as Russia's new ambassador to India. Now, Kudashov is a specialist in Southeast Asia and he is currently the Deputy Director General Secretariat of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russia. The appointment of Kudashov comes nearly 7 months after the death of Russia's previous ambassador to India, Alexander Kadakin. Now, Kadakin, a fluent Hindi-speaking career diplomat considered a great friend of India, passed away on 26th of January. Kudashov was the Russian ambassador to Micronesia and the Marshall Islands in 2014-2015. Now, Vishal Sikka, the first non-founder CEO of Infosys Limited, has abruptly resigned. Now, 50-year-old Sikka is a former German IT major SAP executive under whose 3-year tenure Infosys revenue rose by about 25%. Now, he did not himself name Infosys founder and ex-chairman N.R. Narayana Murthy directly as the reason for his exit, but said that he faced false, baseless, malicious and increasingly personal attacks. The resignation follows a year-long acrimony between the board, the high-profile founders led by Murthy, who raised the issues of poor corporate governance and executive pay, as well as doubts over acquisitions. Now, UB Praveen Rao, Infosys' Chief Operating Officer, has been named as the interim managing director and the CEO. Rao will report to Sikka, who will take on the executive vice chairman role until a permanent CEO takes charge, which should be no later than end of March 2018. Meanwhile, Narayan Murthy has said that he is not seeking any money, position for children or power, while expressing anguish over the board's allegations that his continuous assault led to Vishal Sikka quitting as the CEO. He said he will reply to the board's allegations in the right manner, right forum, and at an appropriate time.
We came to this conclusion and the board proposed that I stay on as Executive Vice Chair to help with the transition and help ensure that the team is well established, that the continuity and in the succession, that the business does not suffer and so forth. And so I am really honored to do that. And so effective today, Praveen is the Managing Director and CEO on an interim basis.
Mr. Sikka's exit from Infosys is not going to affect the sector per se, except, yes, for some time there could be some disruption at Infosys. But again, if you look at the other side, in organizations such as Infosys or any organization, the resilience or the strength of an organization is how they manage transitions like these.
And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. Up next, we have more national as well as international news. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritan Shirai and you're watching Law of the Land on Sabha TV.
498A is an offence of cruelty.
498A is a crime which is against the husband and the relatives for cruelty. that the Supreme Court itself says women are liars.
Watch Law of the Land on Rajya Sabha television.
Thanks for staying with us. Now on to flood situation across various states in Assam, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and several other parts of the country. The situation has worsened due to incessant rains, with lakhs of people being affected. Now at least 153 people died in Bihar, whereas 52 died in West Bengal. NDRF, SDRF and the army have been pressed into service to evacuate those stranded.
Unprecedented heavy rains have unleashed floods, wreaking havoc in Bihar, West Bengal, Assam and several parts of the country. In Bihar, the flood situation has further deteriorated. At least 153 people have lost their lives and around 1.08 crore people have been hit in around 17 districts. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar reviewed the flood situation and gave necessary instructions to the officials. Indian Army and the teams of NDRF and SDRF have stepped up for rescue operations. The Met Department, however, said Patna, Gaya, Bhagalpur and Purania are likely to witness rain or thunder showers today.
रिलीफ पहुंचाने में दिक्कत हो रही है कि जो रास्ते हैं वो कई जगह कट गए हैं और पानी इस बार काफी जल्दी आ गया है। फिर भी हम लोगों ने वहाँ पर जो एसडीआरएफ की टीम थी उसको पहले ही हम लोगों ने पहुंचा दिया था, तो उसकी वजह से भी हमको इस बात की राहत है कि हमारे रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस ठीक से चल रहे हैं और स्थानीय बाजार से जो भी सामग्री कर करके लोगों का जो राहत शिविर है वो हम लोगों ने चालू कर दिया है। मनिहारी बाजार से भी हम लोग सामग्री भेज रहे हैं और बहुत जल्द हम लोग ट्रेन के माध्यम से भी वहाँ पर सामान भेजने जा रहे हैं।
The flood situation in Bengal improved with water levels of all major rivers receding, though the toll rose to 52. West Bengal Panchayat Minister Subrata Mukherjee said roads and pipelines for supplying drinking water have been badly damaged in the calamity. Nearly 15 lakh people have been affected. About 789 relief camps have been set up and more than 3 lakh people have taken shelter. Meanwhile, train and bus services remain suspended on the 6th consecutive day.
पूरा पानी घुस गया है, रहने के लिए कोई जगह ही नहीं है। कोई स्कूल में जगह लिया है तो स्कूल के कोई छत के ऊपर में रह रहा है, कोई मचाना करके रह रहा है। प्रशासन का तरफ से कोई ही नहीं आ रहा है हम लोग का इधर, जो कोई हेल्प हो या और कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है।
In Assam, the third wave of floods has so far claimed the lives of 60 persons across the state. With these, the toll went up to 144, including 8 in Guwahati. As per the Assam State Disaster Management Authority, 25.93 lakh people have been affected in the state. As per the reports, Brahmaputra River was flowing above the danger mark. The second wave of floods has also inundated 80% of the 481 square kilometer area of the Kaziranga National Park and claimed the lives of many animals.
ये पवित्रा में ये सेकेंड वेव है बांध का, तो बाढ़ में मतलब 80% जैसा हम लोग का सबमर्ज हो गया। तो इसमें अभी तक तो हम लोग का जानवर का कोई नुकसान नहीं हुआ है। तो ऐसे तो बाढ़ में थोड़ा बहुत तो मुश्किलें आते हैं यहाँ पर। हम लोग का अभी पूरा टोटल एरिया जितने हैं हम लोग का 18 कैंप्स है, सबमर्ज हो गया है।
The flood situation has worsened in several parts of Uttar Pradesh following continuous rains. The district administration has sought the help of the army in relief and rescue operations. Districts adjoining Nepal are among the worst affected. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath conducted an aerial survey of the areas and ordered the local administration to provide immediate help to those affected.
किसी पीड़ित का घर आपदा की चपेट में आता है, पक्का घर टूटता है या कच्चा घर टूटता है, उसके लिए भी जो अनमन्य सहायता है, आपदा में जनहानि होने पर भी जो सहायता पीड़ित परिवारों को प्राप्त होनी चाहिए, वह तत्काल उपलब्ध कराने की व्यवस्था की जानी चाहिए। साथ ही पर्याप्त मात्रा में खाद्यान्न जहां पीड़ित परिवारों को मिलना चाहिए।
According to the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, over 16 million people have been affected by monsoon flooding across India, Nepal and Bangladesh, with more than 400 deaths in the three countries. As per the India's Meteorological Department, heavy rains have been forecast for the region in the coming days. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And a discussion was held in New Delhi on Friday on the book Tireless Voice, Relentless Journey, which is a compilation of Vice President Venkaiah Naidu's select parliamentary speeches and articles. The book has been jointly compiled by Union Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Rajiv Pratap Rudy, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi and Lok Sabha MP Dr. Khambapati Haribabu. Speaking at the event, Union Ministers Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi and Rajiv Pratap Rudy described Naidu as a common man's politician with the cause of farmers and poor. Rudy said that the book will lend insights into various aspects of Indian politics. The second and the third volumes of the book were released by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the 4th of August. The first volume was published in 2006.
जब उनको मौका मिला तो चाहे रूरल डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्टर थे तो उन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क योजना शुरू कर दी। उसके बाद उनको और रिस्पांसिबिलिटी मिली। जब अर्बन डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्टर हुए तो भी उनका फोकस उस गरीब तक गया। अगर उन्होंने स्मार्ट सिटी की बात करी तो उन इलाकों के लिए सोच कर करी कि जहां पर गरीब रहता है उसकी ज़िंदगी को कैसे आसान बनाया जा सके, उसकी ज़िंदगी में कैसे बड़ा परिवर्तन और क्रांतिकारी परिवर्तन लाया जा सके।
मुझे लगता है कि 2 दशक में किसी भी विषय पर अगर इनपुट्स प्राप्त करना हो तो ये 2 पुस्तक वॉल्यूम 2 और वॉल्यूम 3 अपने आप में राजनीतिक रूप से पर्याप्त है।
Meanwhile, the drama continues in the state of Tamil Nadu with a much talked about merger between the OPS and the EPS faction of the AIADMK. The marathon deliberations that began on Friday have made no headway so far. While rebel leader O. Paneerselvam held consultations with his loyalist, Chief Minister E. Palaniswamy held marathon talks with his cabinet colleagues. Now, OPS-led faction has demanded an immediate expulsion of a jailed party General Secretary V.K. Sasikala and her kin, including Deputy General Secretary T.T.V. Dinakaran. The two factions came to each other after the Tamil Nadu government announced a probe into the death of J. Jayalalitha.
Our slogan is on an OPS. Our motto, our slogan is in Tamil, Dharmam Nichayam Vellum. This is Dharma Yuddham. Actually, an OPS has won that. Whatever we have asked for and whatever we have not asked for, everything now our Honorable Chief Minister Edan Edapadi has done, has announced. I think everything will go on well.
Some international news now. Steve Bannon has been removed from the post as a White House chief strategic, ending his highly contentious career at the center of Trump administration. A statement from the White House press secretary said that Bannon was on his way out. It added that the decision was a mutual one, adding that we are grateful for his service and we wish him all the best. Bannon had helped shape Trump's America First campaign message. He had retreated from the limelight in recent months after bearing much of the blame for the failure of the president's initial travel ban and amid speculation that his increased profile had drawn Trump's ire. Now, Bannon says that he will remain loyal. His exit follows a review of his position by White House Chief of Staff John Kelly. And on to the top international story. Well, Spain is observing 3 days of national mourning after terror attacks in Barcelona and Cambrils killed 14 people and injured hundreds of others on Thursday. The key suspect in Barcelona attack is reported to have been killed in the shootout at the other attack site at Cambrils. 4 other suspects have also been arrested. Now, investigators also say that the 2 assaults were not only related but may have been hashed into a house that the plotters were using as a bomb factory.
Spain in mourning after the terror attacks in Barcelona and Cambrils on Thursday. On Friday afternoon, thousands of people gathered in Barcelona's main square for a minute's silence to remember the dead. Among those in attendance were King Philip of Spain and Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy. At the end of the prayer meet, the crowd broke into applause and chanted, "No tic po," meaning "I am not afraid."
Meanwhile, fresh details are emerging as investigations continue into the attacks. Police say the key suspect in the Barcelona attack is dead. They confirm that Musa Okabir was among the 5 killed in the shootout at the other attack site, Cambrils. 4 other suspects have been arrested. 13 people were killed when a van rented by Okabir rammed crowds in Barcelona's Ramblas district. The same night, police shot dead 5 attackers, including Okabir, in the nearby town of Cambrils after they drove a car into pedestrians, killing 1 woman and injuring 6 others. It has also emerged that Wednesday night blasts in the town of Alcanar was also related to the terror incidents. Police say it was here the terrorists had been preparing an explosive device and accidentally blew up the house.
Hoy tenemos ya la certeza de que 3 de ellos, en concreto, han sido identificados y los vinculamos directamente con esos hechos anteriores, digamos, con el grupo de personas investigadas en relación a la explosión del piso de Alcaná, la residencia de Alcaná.
Authorities have also started naming the dead. Several others are still missing. 59 people injured in the attacks are still in hospital, with 15 in a critical condition and 25 in a serious condition. Spanish Prime Minister says helping victims and arresting suspects are top priorities.
Bien atender a sus familias. Muchas de las, como saben, que han fallecido, que están heridas, no son españoles, son personas extranjeras. Y desde el punto de vista policial, pues el objetivo es esclarecer los hechos que se han producido.
Countries around the globe have expressed solidarity with Spain. United Nations Security Council held a moment of silence for the victims. Rome dimmed the arches of its ancient Colosseum as a mark of respect for those killed and injured. And New York's World Trade Center illuminated in colors of the Spanish flag. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And we'll continue getting you all the updates on investigations into the Spain terror attacks and other news as well. But that is all in this news bulletin. Thanks for watching.